Welcome back, friends, for one more update from the world of EV stocks. In case you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing. And if you live in the United States, you can get 2 free shares worth up to $1,850 just by following the link in the description. Now enjoy the rest of the video.
As the markets opened today, there was a sea of red everywhere. From growth stocks to value stocks to crypto, nearly everything was crashing deep into red. At one point NIO even crashed below $43. We have some kind of a stoppage to that crash for today, but there is still a lot of uncertainty about what's to be expected in the next few days. Like we pointed out yesterday, the outsized losses in Chinese stocks such as NIO and Xpeng yesterday were clearly influenced by the fears of Chinese crackdown to tech companies listed in US. That said, almost simultaneously, a few more major issues have been also bothering the markets. If you follow us on Twitter, we already pointed out earlier today that the fears of what the Delta variant can do to global growth recovery might be causing panic to some traders. There was a huge excitement about summer holidays in Europe this year, but newer warnings about the Delta variant are coming up every day, which is impacting the travel industry again. The situation is extra grim in Asia. Countries like Indonesia, Malaysia are seeing an exponential spike in cases over there, and today the city of Tokyo announced that they will not allow any spectators in the stadium during Olympics due to Delta spread. This will hurt a lot of the economic recovery forecasts around the world, and given how connected the world economy is, stock investors pretty much everywhere can expect short-term volatility.
If you look at futures, of course, you've been listening to Squawk Box for the last few hours, no doubt about that. You know where we're headed right now, which is lower. Although, again, to put it in perspective, to levels perhaps that we saw last Wednesday. But let's start right there, Jim, in terms of the overall market and the bond market. And I know a lot of themes that you have to watch as well. You know, trying to understand what's going on today, why the yields have fallen to as low as 1.25, why the equity market is going along with it.
Slowing.
Yeah.
Slowing. No, I think there's no slow in the United States.
Right.
But worldwide, I'm increasingly worried. David, Delta taking the world by storm. I think when I was up last night in the middle of the night, when the Olympics, when the government said no spectators, the market took a hit like you wouldn't believe. And that's Delta Force, because people recognize that this thing's coming. And I think it's going to be the dominant strain in the United States soon. And we have whole states that are anti-vax.
We have a lot of vaccine resistance in the country, perhaps more than we'd anticipated when President Biden set out the 70% vaccinated goal by July 4th. Many people thought, in fact, that would be easily reached.
Right. Now we're going to have to pay people.
It was not quite reached, and so that's a concern. But at the same time, Jim, I mean, you watch even the UK, where I know people are watching the numbers move up. And again, this goes to your point that there perhaps will not be the vast reopening and/or a slowing of the overall economy, not necessarily here, but in other places in the world. Hospitalization's not up in the UK.
No, but when you listen
up sharply.
When you listen to our own Eunice Yu, who is amazing.
Yes,
it is right. She's not wearing a mask out of some sort of safety, mock safety. She's wearing a mask. She doesn't want to get it. All right. I think China, they have to get. Right now, BNTX, they have to make them. They really have to. The Chinese vaccine's not working.
All right, that's your point, right? In China,
and China's slow. China's look. You look at copper, which is a great proxy for China, not just electric batteries.
Yep.
It stopped rallying.
Right.
Weeks ago.
Okay, so the concern here is that there's overall slowing in the economy as a result of the spread of the Delta variant, which is potentially going to
rage here,
lead to increased caseloads and not necessarily lockdowns, but people.
But you.
Well, that's the thing. Like, what are we playing for? I know I don't want to get deep into the whole COVID conversation again because there's so many other things to talk about, Jim. But what are we playing for here? Isn't it to keep people out of hospitals?
Therapeutic.
Right. We will. The antiviral.
Right. And because we don't have that, people are still worried that there's going to be hospitalizations and the numbers are going to go up.
Right.
And that the New Jersey having no deaths the other day is a sign that that state is pro-vax. But the anti-vax states, which, of course, are very much in sync with who voted for President Trump, are at risk. And more importantly,
we're full speed ahead in the United States.
Yes, but I'm saying, look, I think
nobody's.
But I think people are worried.
We're staying open.
People are worried. Is the NFL? Are those stadiums going to be full? How about the SEC? The SEC,
Southeastern Conference.
Yes, thank you.
About,
They're both well, the SEC is actually well run because you got university, those colleges are excellent. But aren't you worried if you're going to one of those colleges or those football games? I mean, it's the kind of thing people are thinking of.
They're thinking about it. All right.
But they're really thinking about a speculation, David.
Yeah.
They're thinking about we haven't adjusted to hybrid work. I mean, yes, Ketchum doesn't have enough jobs. What hybrid? Rich people want to Ketchum. Obviously, there's not enough people. We're
Ketchum
worried
is
about
Sun
President
Valley.
Xi.
Yeah.
President Xi's new tone.
China is definitely got to be a key thing. I mean, you mentioned it in terms of the potential of their economy slowing because of the spread of the Delta variant, but as well, we talked a lot during the course of this week, of course, about the changes that they made, their cybersecurity laws that made changes for Didi's business model immediately after the company went public, and what it all is going to mean overall in terms of just the ratcheting up of tensions between our country and
David, you've been
and
saying
China.
over and over again, the billionaires are in trouble in China.
Well, he's an autocrat, and he wants to make sure everybody knows who's in full control.
Communist autocrat, yes. And the hegemony had been lost. I think Bitcoin is China.
You do?
Yes.
You mean the fall in Bitcoin?
The fall in Bitcoin, because the return of the different cards that you need in order to mine Ethereum is rather extraordinary. That's behind the big decline in Nvidia. It shouldn't be. It's a $400 million business of just they would throw away the GPUs for Ethereum because they're not good enough for gaming. But you're seeing Nvidia go down, and a lot of that is the recognition that Ethereum mining in China is slowing. All right.
Now, given that stocks like NIO and Xpeng have corrected more than 10% in the last 3 trading sessions, there is every chance we see a green day on Friday. However, that doesn't take away all the short-term volatility, and we could easily see bearishness next week as well. All in all, however, our conviction in NIO and its business model remains as strong as ever, and we believe any drop in the price of NIO is simply an opportunity to buy more shares.